Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Free Exchange of Ideas. So, I just saw this and I was kind of surprised. Actually, I guess I'm not really surprised. I'm surprised that people are blind enough to follow this and believe it. This is from The Guardian, dated, I don't see a date on this, but I know it's recent because I just saw it also on the military news. And it says, anger and radicalization, quote unquote, rising number of Americans say political violence is justified. That scares the crap out of me, to be honest. I'm not afraid of anyone, but throwing our republic down the toilet because you didn't get what you wanted is just period wrong. It's just wrong. That's not the way we do things, as evidenced by most of the people that went to jail or prison after the January 6th insurrection, riot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what else you call it. And they put a bunch of people in jail that didn't deserve it. People that came in the back door, didn't have any idea what was going on, and were escorted in by, police. At any rate, so I want to read this to you because it's actually a survey from a university in Illinois. I apologize. Let me just run to it real fast. University of Chicago. Professor at University of Chicago, Robert Pape. So I'm going to read the top of this real quickly. Survey shows a small but significant share of Americans believe in use of force to attain political goals on both the left and the right. That's going to be really important because the left went absolutely ballistic in 2016 with Project Pink at the inauguration of Donald Trump. After, I'd say, a simple thing, he won. He won fair and square. He took Ohio and a couple other big states that were important. We knew he was going to take Florida, but they just couldn't take it. And Hillary Clinton said it was not a fair election. So, I mean, that's all the way back to 2016. Right? She said, no, I should have won. Blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh, well, she got the popular vote. That's not how we do elections here in a republic. That's the important thing. It's not a true democracy. It's a republic with some democratic tendencies. But there's almost no place that you find in politics where it is simple majority, which is what democracy is. Simple majority rules. So anyway, let me just read through this real quickly. So let's see. The June federal indictment of Donald Trump is radicalizing support for the use of force on behalf of the former president and current presidential candidate, according to the author of a recent survey about threats to democracy. Now, that is so full of stuff, that one paragraph, that we kind of need to break it down a little bit. First off, the June federal indictment. Now, that's not the most recent one. The most recent one is... was it yesterday or day before yesterday in Georgia, and that just made people angrier and louder for a couple of reasons. It's not just because it's Donald Trump, and I can kind of see where the left and the right would be angry over different things in that indictment. However, and what they say in this article is they thought that the Georgia one would actually lower support for Donald Trump, and I thought that's an absolutely stupid thing to think, because it's been 4 years and we've been fighting left and I say we. I'm not a Republican, but the right has been fighting left and right, not to so much clear Donald Trump as to say he's a political person. And the Biden DOJ is going after his political rival, not a citizen, not just a citizen. He's not somebody who dicked around and found out. He's not. That's not what it is. It's the left going after Donald Trump to first, I think, bankrupt him. That wasn't going to happen. He's got way too much money and way too much influence to gather money. Two, it's not going to happen because people support Donald J. Trump. They just do. I don't know of any other kind when that occurred, any other time that occurred, where even with Ronald Reagan, who just wiped his opponent off the face of the map, didn't get that level of vitriolic support. But he got support from both sides of the aisle, and he was a pleasant man to hear, to listen to him speak. Donald J. Trump is not a pleasant man to listen to speak, or text, or tweet, or is it Truth Social now? He's not that guy. However, he is a businessman, and he knows how to run a business. And the United States is a business. I mean, no matter what you say, it's a business, and you got to be able to run it properly. He did not do everything properly, obviously, but in my opinion, I think he did the greater amount of things that he did was proper and good for the nation. And he was always United States first. We don't hear that anymore. We didn't hear that before, since Reagan, really. We just didn't. Anyway, so let me go to the... oh yeah, and they said the June federal indictment of Donald Trump is radicalizing support for the use of force on behalf of him. And I don't see that, but I do hear him. I do hear his supporters getting louder. I don't know that I've heard anything about violence anymore. But so anyway, meanwhile, on the other side of the aisle, support for violence to restore the federal right to an abortion has also increased. That doesn't surprise me at all. Over the last few months, research found, although there's little indication that any organized groups support acting on this belief. So, I don't think that's actually true. There's plenty of organizations that act on that. However, they're going to act politically. They're not going to act violently. I just don't see that happening there. Not yet, at any rate. The dangers to democracies, that's capitalized, dangers, democracy. Dangers to democracy report indicates that a growing number of Americans support the use of political violence as the 2024 presidential campaign heats up and further indictments of Trump are probably imminent. We already know about the Georgia indictment. So, to continue, quote, the indictment is radicalizing support for Trump, but that's not the only source of radicalization, said Robert Pape, a University of Chicago professor who led the research. You're seeing growing anger and radicalization on the left as well. What this tells me is that we are no longer listening to each other. We are no longer listening to each other. We're screaming at each other and not debating. We're just saying my way is right and your way sucks, or you suck, or whatever. We're not talking to each other anymore. And, in my opinion, I think that's part of the political thing. The Democrats and the Republicans have been screaming about how bad the other one is, or how badly the other one is doing in Congress, in the Senate, whatever. And that radicalizes people because they think their side is right all the time. I don't believe that, and I've told you on multiple occasions I voted for Reagan, then I voted for Papa Bush, then I voted for Clinton twice. Voted for him both times. Then I voted for Junior. Who came after him? Oh, Obama. I did not vote for Obama, I admit. But that has more to do with me than politics. And no, I'm not racist. I just didn't like the way he spoke to us. I thought he was speaking down to us the entire time, and I wasn't impressed. At any rate, neither here nor there. Actually, I don't think I voted in his first term. I don't think I voted for that at all. At any rate, so the number of Americans who believe the use of force is justified to restore Trump to the White House increased by roughly 6 million in the last few months to an estimated 18 million people, according to the survey conducted by the university in late June and shared exclusively with The Guardian. That's not exactly true, but neither here nor there. Of those 18 million people, 68%, almost 70%, almost 2/3, almost 3/4 of the people believe that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump, and 62% believe the prosecutions of Trump are intended to hurt his chances in 2024. They are not. Well, they are, but that's not their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is to prove to us, the plebs, don't mess around with our gig. This is our gig, and you don't have a right to it. I think that's what they're trying to show. If you slam us, or you fire us, or you play games with us, no, we're just gonna ruin you, physically, financially, whatever. We're gonna ruin you, and that's what this is. That's exactly what this is. It's not just Trump; it's the plebs, the people who believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the people who believe in all of those things that make the United States what it is, and make the United States number one on the planet for freedoms and security, which is kind of an oxymoron. Those two shouldn't be like your top priorities. Freedom is always top priority, period. And then your personal security, not necessarily security of the nation. So let's move on. An estimated 7% of Americans now believe violence could be necessary to restore Trump to the presidency, up 4.5%, or 12 million people in April. Now, the number of people, that's an estimate because they did this with like 4,500 people. I think it's much lower down in the thing. But so these are guesstimates based on this focus group. But over the same period, Trump's general favorability slightly decreased among Republicans, the survey found. And there's a graph here. I'm going to put this up in the description box below so that you guys can read it. I do want you to read it and follow up, because there's a lot of stuff in here that I'm just not going to get to for you. It's just not going to happen. University's Chicago Project on Security and Threats, CPOST, Research Center has been conducting dangers to democracy surveys of American adults on political violence and attitudes toward democracy since shortly before the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. The most recent report marks the first increase in radical violent support for Trump since April 2022, according to Pape, who directs CPOST. The public is more radicalized than it was in April, and is really quite significant. We've been tracking this quite a while. This is a really big bump, according to Pape. Democrats, however, expressed support for political violence for a different purpose, because it's more important for them. The survey found support for the use of force to coerce members of Congress to, quote unquote, do the right thing grew from 9% in January to 17%, an estimated 44 million Americans at the end of June, with the sharpest rise among Democrats. Support for violence to restore the federal right to an abortion, it also increased during this time. Now there's a graphic here that says political actions that a minority of Americans believe justify the use of force. Protect voting rights of Black Americans and other minorities, 18.6. Ensure members of Congress and other government officials do the right thing. I don't like that phrase because it's so open-ended to whoever listens to it. That's at 17.3%. Restore the federal right to abortion is at 12.3%. Prevent Donald Trump from becoming president is at 11.6%. Prevent the teaching of CRT in schools is at 9.3%. Preserve the rights of whites. I don't know what I'm missing as a white guy, but 9.3%. Or 8.5%, I'm sorry. Prevent prosecution of Trump, 7%. This just goes on and on and on about how, can't believe this, 12% of Americans believe the government is run by Satan-worshipping pedophiles. I'm just going to let that hang there for a second because that doesn't make any sense to me. The survey found that nearly 90% of Trump's most radical supporters believe the federal government is run by a deep state of immoral people. Again, I'm just going to let that hang there. I want you to think about that. I don't think that's just Trump's most radical supporters, and 90% of them. So how many of them is that? Again, that's just a plurality. It's 90%. But it doesn't make a bunch of sense. With more indictments of Trump likely to come in the next few weeks, both from the federal government and Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Pape said he was concerned that further radicalization of the public is likely to occur. I'd like to know his thoughts, his personal thoughts on how our republic is running right now. I think that would help me understand better what having our government employees, our representatives and whatnot, do the right thing. I would like to understand that better. Let's see. 1 in 5 Americans still believe the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. 1 in 5 Americans, not Trump supporters. 1 in 5 Americans. That's 20% of the populace. Son of a gun. I have another story, but I'm actually going to put it in another video because some folks have just shown up, and so I'm going to have to pay attention to my actual job. Sorry. Anyway, never forget, even a fluffy bunny has teeth and claws for a reason. And I had a video on my personal Facebook page that shows exactly why they have those things. And I'll put it up here someplace. I'll see if I can. It's a YouTube video, so I'll see if I can bum it from the guy for this. And live long, fight hard, win the day. Always do your best, no matter what it is, but always do your best, just to be a good human being. All right? Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya!